Hey friends, it's Justin Adkins, and I'm so excited to be back on the Missing Stamps YouTube channel today with a little bit of spooky sweet inspiration. We're going to be using the Boo Sheet stamp set along with the Halloween Sentiment stamp set to create a really fun card with lots of texture. I am going to start by taking one of the ghost images from Boo Sheet, and we are going to use our Misty stamp tool to go ahead and stamp out the image. Now, I will be coloring these up with Olo markers, so it's really important to be using an alcohol marker safe ink. I have opted to use Blackout ink by Ink on 3 for my image, and once I get a nice crisp impression, I can then move on to coloring up the image. I'm only going to be using 4 markers to color this ghost up. I'm going to start with the YG 2.5. What I love about coloring up ghost images is they don't take a lot of colors and they come together really quickly. So you don't have to add too much detail to them either. They're predominantly white because this is like a sheet ghost style. So we're then going to blend the YG 2.5 into YG 2.3. Like I had said, it's really easy with ghosts to get them all nicely colored. And then once we have that third color, we're going to put in YG 2.1. The YG 2.1 is going to be our third of 4 colors. So I'm just going to nicely add it in, and then afterwards, I'm going to start repeating these colors with a method I like to call coloring twice. Now, coloring twice, I do it for 2 reasons. The first is that ink works the best on the paper when it's saturated with the ink, so you do get that nice ink movement across the paper, but in addition, it does sort of heighten the intensity of the colors as well, so you get 2 benefits with one technique. One thing I'm doing on the second pass though is I'm going to go in with the colorless blender. This is 0, and I'm going to use this just to sort of blend out the center white portion of the image into the YG colors that we've already laid down, and this is going to blend together really nicely with the Olo markers. I get my image all colored up and ready to go. We're going to set that ghost aside for later and start the process of working on our background. I am grabbing the free with purchase Stars 1 set for this panel that we're going to be ink blending. I have trimmed down a panel of light purple cardstock to about 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. This free with purchase Stars 1 stencil is really fun. It gives you a nice bold star pattern, and then also this stencil right now you can actually get free with purchase for any purchases on the Missing Stamps website that are $50 and over. I've been advised all you should have to do while this is in stock is make sure to put in your order comments that you prefer the free with purchase Stars 1 set for your item. So I do get this all blended with some milled lavender distress ink, and then I move on to using some dusty Concord for the edges of the card. I know that the cover of my ink looks a little different. It's just an older ink pad, but it still works just the same. So we're going to blend up the edges of this panel, trying to get nice full coverage with that dusty Concord so it blends nicely into the light purple center of our card. Now, using the same blending brush, because we're staying within the purple family of colors, I use Villainous Potion Distressing to go ahead and blend those edges. Now, I do like to turn my panel as I'm ink blending just because I think it helps me get really nice coverage with my brush blending tool. Once I'm satisfied with the amount of Villainous Potion ink on the edges, I grab some opaque silver paper splatter, put it onto an acrylic block, and grab a clean watercolor brush to then splatter on top of my panel. This is going to add some nice metallic accent to the project that's going to help coordinate with the colors. Now, I like to just tap the body of the brush once the brush is over my panel to get different splatter shapes and sizes onto your panel of paper. For a little bit of extra shine, I'm grabbing the Crocodile Tears Solar Spray, and I'm just going to spritz this onto our panel. This is going to add a really fun pearlescent green color shift effect to our project to give it a little bit of extra sparkle and shine. You can see it catching the light, and it's really going to make this project just so much more fun. The next thing we're going to do is I'm grabbing the Swiss Dot stencil with some pixie spray. This is by Thermoweb. I'm going to spray the pixie spray on top of the stencil, let it sit for about 30 seconds, and then place my panel of the design side touching the adhesive portion of the stencil. So once I get my stencil nicely in place, that pixie spray kind of locks the paper onto the stencil. We're going to use some Dart Frog Neon Lunar Paste and just apply a nice solid layer over our panel. So I like to add some on top first, and then I like to grab one of my scraper tools to go ahead and scrape the paste down the stencil. You might have to do it a couple times just to get a nice complete coverage, but once you're satisfied, go ahead and get that peel reveal, remove your stencil, and then I like to try to hold the panel down on a clean area that's not going to obstruct the stenciled work and set it aside to dry. We're going to use the Halloween sentiment stamp set, and I am going to stamp out the spooky large word in some black VersaFine Clair ink onto some white paper. So I'm going to stamp up the spooky, and then I am going to impress it using my MISTI onto my white cardstock, and this is going to be a nice bold sentiment. I usually don't do sentiments white paper black ink. I just think that it's kind of standard. So I like to kind of do a little things that are like jazzed up with your card, but I thought it'd be really fun with this card with all the other colors to make this a white and black sentiment. So I'm going to then put some Detail Clear embossing powder over my stamped out spooky words and use my heat tool to go ahead and set the embossing powder into place. As you can see, you kind of see the moment where the powder turns into almost a melted, clearer embossing on top of it. So just kind of keep an eye for it and then look for that nice shine from the set embossing powder. So I do go ahead and cut out the spooky word, and there you can see it with our ghost, and I want to add one more sentiment for our panel. So from the Boo Sheet set, I use the Ghostly Greetings mini sentiment, and I just think that it's going to be really fun to have your sentiment read out and say spooky ghostly greetings, and it's perfect to send off for a friend this time of the year. I am going to put some more of the Detail Clear embossing powder onto my sentiment, and I'm going to also trim this down into just a clean sentiment strip. So I'm trimming down the different edges of the strip so that it's going to be nice and tight for the project, and I think this is going to be just the perfect little addition. As you can see, we've got our simple little sentiment strip ready to go, and we can begin the process of working with the background of our card. So my stencil paste has entirely dried, and I am going to now put a little bit of foam strip on the back of our spooky stamped out sentiment, and this is going to help give it just a little bit of pop for our card. I love using foam tape to help bring a focal point to different important elements of a project, especially a nice big bold sentiment like this spooky. So I'm going to push it down into place and then also put the little Ghostly Greetings sentiment strip that has a piece of foam tape behind it as well, right underneath. And then lastly, for the foam tape, I'm going to put some on the back of the ghost that we colored up and position the ghost to the right of our sentiment. And he's so cute. I love that he's a little green ghost. I think he's just the most adorable little thing. I'm going to use my MISTI Precision Glue Press to go and put adhesive on the back of our panel, and we're going to adhere it directly to an A2 size card base. If you recall, this panel is about 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, so it's a little smaller than A2 size. The reason that it's the dimensions as listed is because it's going to give me that really nice white frame around the card, which I think just keeps everything nice and framed so perfectly. The last little bit that I'm going to do is add some enamel glitter dots to our panel, and it's just going to add that extra sparkle and shine that coordinates with the different colors from our card so far. So I'm pulling in some lime green and purple glitter dots, and I'm going to just arrange them around the card to give them those little extra pops of ghostly spooky colors. Once I get all of my glitter enamel dots nicely in place, our Spooky Greetings card is fully completed and ready to be sent off to a friend before Halloween. Thank you all so very much for stopping by the Missing Stamps YouTube channel today. If you haven't already, make sure that you like and subscribe for all missing inspiration. In addition, I have my own personal socials below, so make sure to like and subscribe on my own YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, both at JustinOByJustin. I also have all of the projects products used in today's card linked below for your shopping convenience. Thanks again for stopping by today. I hope that this card inspires you for some fun Halloween crafting with your favorite Miss Inks products, and happy crafting. I'll see you real soon. Goodbye.